Iran and the secret weapon that could change the world. Iran has never been a country that sought the spotlight, but now the world seems to be on the verge of a revelation that no one can ignore. In recent months, rumors and leaked videos suggest that the country is developing a weapon of unimaginable power, a missile or bomb capable of traveling thousands of kilometers and destroying with a force 7,000 times greater than the Hiroshima bomb. But what's most striking is not just the weapon itself, but the secret surrounding it. Built under a mountain in factories and military valleys invisible to the world, this initiative is shrouded in absolute mystery. Even high-ranking Iranian officials are unaware of all the details. And then comes an even more intriguing question: China. Secret reports indicate that the Asian giant is providing advanced technology, special fuel, and control systems that elevate this weapon to a level even major world powers can hardly conceive. A silent partnership that completely changes the geopolitical game. Before we begin, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Now let's get started. Theme 1: Iran and the strategy of military secrecy. Iran has stood out in international politics as a complex and often misunderstood player. While many countries are easily monitored by global powers, Iran maintains operations that remain largely hidden. One of these initiatives, recent and highly sensitive, involves the development of a missile or bomb of potentially unprecedented proportions, constructed under extreme secrecy. Few official details are released, but leaked information and clandestine images show that the weapon is being built to maximize strategic impact away from public eyes and even from less directly involved authorities. Secrecy in this context is not only a protective measure, but also a political tool. By strictly controlling the flow of information, Iran maintains a perception of power without necessarily having to test or publicly demonstrate its weapon. This creates uncertainty for other nations, which must consider the possibility that the country possesses military capabilities far beyond what has been officially declared. The perception game is therefore as important as the technological development itself. Another relevant aspect is the location chosen for the weapon's construction. Information indicates it is happening under a mountain in a highly restricted military valley. This choice is not accidental. In addition to physical protection, the geography reinforces secrecy and makes intelligence gathering by satellites or external inspectors difficult. The strategy reflects a sophisticated understanding of the balance between vulnerability and demonstration of strength. The project's development does not occur in isolation. Reports indicate that China has played a strategic role, providing advanced technical support. This includes control technology, radar evasion systems, and high-power fuel, which combined elevate the missile's destructive potential to unusual levels. The silent collaboration between Iran and China signals, beyond military strengthening, the building of subtle political alliances that challenge the traditional hegemony of Western powers in global security. The effect of Iranian military secrecy on the international scene is complex. On one hand, it keeps other countries on alert, imposing diplomatic and strategic costs on the Western world. On the other, it strengthens Iran's position as an emerging power, capable of acting in conflict zones or international negotiations with a significant leverage card. The balance between demonstrating strength and hiding capability is thus a strategic tool that goes beyond simple weapons development, influencing political and military decisions on a global scale. Historically, military secrecy has been used by nations in times of transition or conflict to gain a strategic advantage. In Iran's case, developing a large-scale weapon under extreme secrecy indicates not only technological ambition, but also a clear understanding of the role of information in modern geopolitics. The ability to control rumors, leaks, and unconfirmed information transforms secrecy into a power resource as important as the missile itself. Moreover, the tension arising from the secrecy has direct effects on international diplomacy. Countries observing Iran must decide whether to confront, negotiate, or watch cautiously. Secrecy, therefore, not only protects the military program, but also forces other nations to constantly recalibrate their political and military strategies, increasing the complexity of international relations in the Middle East and the world. In summary, Iran exemplifies how military secrecy is not just a matter of operational security, but also a tool of political and strategic influence. By combining advanced technology, external support, and strict information control, the country positions itself uniquely on the contemporary geopolitical board, challenging traditional perceptions and highlighting the importance of invisible power in world politics. The secret development of weapons by Iran, with China's support and construction in highly protected locations, demonstrates that in modern geopolitics, the unknown often carries more weight than the demonstrated. Theme 2: The power of weapons of mass destruction in the 21st century. The development of weapons of mass destruction has been, since the 20th century, one of the central elements of international geopolitics. The invention of the atomic bomb during World War II transformed the global perception of war and military power. However, as technology advanced, new weapons with much greater destructive potential began to emerge, once again altering the balance between countries and challenging international security norms. The recent case involving Iran, with the suspicion of a missile or bomb of enormous proportions, exemplifies how the creation of ultra-powerful armaments continues to play a crucial role in world politics, even in a context where conventional wars are less common. Comparing historically, the bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945 had about 15 kilotons of power. In contrast, leaked information about the Iranian project suggests a weapon with a potential of 80 to 100 megatons, representing roughly 7,000 times more destructive force. This difference is not only quantitative, but qualitative. Modern technologies allow large-scale weapons to be more precise, capable of avoiding radar detection and operating with highly advanced launch systems and fuels. Thus, the potential impact of such a weapon goes far beyond physical destruction, reaching political, psychological, and strategic dimensions. Possessing weapons of mass destruction places countries in a position of singular power. By controlling a technological capability few can achieve, nations like Iran can influence international negotiations, modify alliances, and deter external interventions. The mere possibility that a country has a global range missile with unprecedented power forces other states to rethink their security policies, economic sanctions, and diplomatic strategies. The weapon's power, therefore, lies not only in its detonation, but also in the perception of its existence. At the same time, developing such destructive armaments raises profound ethical questions. If nuclear war is devastating for civilian populations and the environment, can the creation of a weapon that, even theoretically, could exterminate millions of people in seconds be justified? The logic of national defense, often used as the official justification, must be weighed against humanitarian impact and international responsibility. Countries investing in such weapons face a moral dilemma, balancing security and national survival with ethical norms that transcend borders. Another relevant factor is how these weapons are developed and concealed. In Iran's case, construction occurs under extreme secrecy inside military valleys and protected mountains. This strategy reduces the risk of espionage and sabotage, but increases global mystery and tension. Leaks and clandestine images only reinforce the perception of power, showing that in the 21st century, military technology is not only physical, but also symbolic. Uncertainty about the range, power, and availability of a weapon of mass destruction becomes a political tool in itself. Moreover, international cooperation, such as the alleged Iran-China partnership, turns weapons development into a global phenomenon. The transfer of advanced technology, including control systems, special fuels, and radar evasion techniques, increases the complexity of international relations. Military power in this context does not depend solely on the country possessing the weapon, but also on the networks of knowledge and support that enable its construction. The ability to innovate in secrecy is therefore as important as the weapon's actual power. The power of weapons of mass destruction in the 21st century transcends the traditional concept of war. It influences diplomacy, economy, psychology, and technology. A single country capable of developing an ultra-powerful missile or bomb can alter political decisions globally, create strategic alliances, and establish indirect zones of influence. The Iranian case illustrates that even in times of relative peace, the development of extreme armaments remains a central tool of power, shaping how nations interact, threaten, or deter each other. Theme 3: China's role in Iran's military development. In recent years, the relationship between Iran and China has emerged as a strategically significant element for global geopolitics. Historically, military alliances between countries from different continents have had a profound impact on global power dynamics. But the current case suggests something even more sophisticated: the transfer of advanced technology for sensitive military programs, including the development of weapons of mass destruction. Reports indicate that China has provided direct technical support to Iran in secret weapons projects, raising questions about political intentions, the balance of power, and the future of international relations. China's support is not limited to the simple sale of military equipment. Sources suggest that the transfer involves missile control electronics, radar evading technologies, and high-power fuels, which significantly increase the range and destructive capacity of Iranian weapons. The combination of these technologies allows Iran to develop armaments that rival those of the world's major powers, something that would have been unimaginable possible just a few decades ago. More than technical aid, this cooperation signals a strategic alignment, suggesting that China may be interested in expanding its influence in the Middle East indirectly, using Iran as a technological and political partner. Chinese involvement also has a symbolic dimension. By providing advanced technology to a sanctioned country, China sends a clear message. Western military hegemony is not absolute, and new power blocks may emerge. The collaboration strengthens Iran not only militarily, but also politically, enabling it to present itself as a relevant actor on the global stage. For China, supporting Iran is a way to consolidate influence in a strategic region, ensuring access to resources, trade routes, and leverage in future international crises. Another crucial aspect of this partnership is the secrecy surrounding the program. Reports indicate that Iranian missiles or bombs are being developed under mountains, in restricted military valleys, where even high-ranking local officials do not have full access to information. China's presence in this process, providing critical technology, suggests an exceptional level of mutual trust, reinforced by shared strategic interests. This discrete cooperation also reduces the ability of Western countries to intervene or effectively monitor, increasing the complexity of international relations in the region. History shows that strategic alliances involving the transfer of advanced military technology have long-lasting effects. During the Cold War, for example, technological aid between allies shaped conflicts, dictated deterrence policies, and redefined global balance. In the Iran-China case, the situation is even more delicate as it involves a country under severe sanctions, facing regional tensions, and developing weapons of mass destruction. Chinese cooperation not only accelerates Iranian technological progress, but also challenges international arms control norms, creating dilemmas for organizations such as the UN and non-proliferation treaties. Furthermore, China's role indicates a shift in the logic of modern geopolitics. While in the past, power sought unilateral predominance, today we see the emergence of strategic blocs based on shared interests and technological cooperation. The tacit alliance between Iran and China suggests that technology and secrecy can be used as political tools as powerful as military force itself. The ability to develop advanced weapons with external support strengthens not only Iran's military power but also its diplomatic position, making it capable of influencing global decisions without engaging in direct conflict. China's support also generates a psychological effect on other powers. Western countries, traditionally vigilant about military advances in the Middle East, must reconsider their approach in the face of cooperation that combines cutting-edge technology with extreme secrecy. Theme 4. Military secrecy and weapon construction in Iran. Military secrecy is a strategic tool as powerful as the weapon itself, and the Iranian case illustrates this exemplarily. In developing its massive missile or bomb, Iran chose to keep all operations under extreme confidentiality, hiding facilities and processes even from many high-ranking officials and the public. This approach reflects an age-old practice in nations seeking to protect sensitive technologies, prevent espionage, and control the narrative about their military capabilities. The construction of weapons in isolated and heavily protected locations is not new. During World War II, the Manhattan Project in the United States used secret factories and remote sites to develop the first atomic bomb. The logic behind this secrecy is simple. The fewer people who have access to information, the lower the chance of leaks, sabotage, or preemptive attacks. In Iran's case, the decision to install laboratories and factories in hidden valleys and under mountains reinforces the idea that confidentiality is central to its military strategy. Beyond physical protection, secrecy also serves political and psychological functions. Uncertainty about what is being developed generates a perception of power that often exceeds the concrete reality. Adversary countries, considering the possibility that Iran possesses weapons of mass destruction capable of reaching thousands of kilometers, must recalibrate their defense and diplomatic policies. Secrecy, therefore, protects the weapon itself while creating a deterrent effect that operates strategically and psychologically. The process of constructing ultra-powerful armaments involves multiple technological and logistical challenges, from developing robust propulsion engines to creating specialized fuels and electronic control systems. Each stage requires extreme precision. In Iran, all these activities take place in isolated areas with limited access and under strict security protocols. Complexity increases further with external partners like China, whose technological support must be integrated discreetly without raising suspicion of international espionage. espionage. Another relevant aspect of military secrecy is the formation and control of the involved team. Projects of this level require highly specialized scientists, engineers, and technicians, but also rigorous confidentiality mechanisms. Iran, like other powers developing strategic weapons, must balance team efficiency with security measures, ensuring that critical information is not disclosed. The physical isolation of facilities, combined with internal secrecy protocols, creates an additional barrier against any external monitoring attempts. Secrecy's impact goes beyond physical and technological protection. It also influences international perception of the country. By keeping details about the power, range, and destructive capacity of its weapons secret, Iran creates a strategic uncertainty effect. Rival states, lacking concrete data, tend to assume worst-case scenarios, which can generate diplomatic tension, reinforce military alliances, and even trigger preventive economic sanctions. In this sense, secrecy is an invisible power capable of shaping international politics without firing a single projectile. Military secrecy also raises ethical and legal questions. In the context of weapons of mass destruction, hiding crucial information about development, testing, and destructive capability creates concerns about global security and compliance with international treaties. The international community often relies on intelligence, surveillance, and transparency agreements to reduce escalation risks. However, Iran's posture of total secrecy challenges these mechanisms, creating a situation where conflict prevention depends on inference and speculation. Finally, military secrecy in Iran highlights how modern technology has transformed geopolitics. Today, it is not enough to possess powerful weapons. It is necessary to control information about them, creating a strategic narrative that amplifies real power. Theme 5. The impact of Iran's weapons development on the Middle East. The Middle East has always been a region marked by conflicts, territorial disputes, and complex alliances, making any significant military advancement a major concern for regional stability. Iran's development of ultra-powerful armaments, including intercontinental range missiles and possibly weapons of mass destruction, not only alters the military balance, but also transforms political, economic, and strategic relations among countries in the region. The impact of this development is profound, multifaceted, and extends far beyond Iran's borders. Firstly, Iran's military strengthening increases insecurity among neighboring countries. Nations such as Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, traditionally concerned about Iranian influence, see the country's technological advancement as a direct threat to their security. Israel, in particular, maintains a historical policy of deterrence and constant surveillance over regional military programs. The emergence of a missile or bomb capable of reaching thousands of kilometers raises the alert level, forcing neighboring countries to invest further in defense systems, intelligence, and containment strategies. Furthermore, Iran's weapons development affects regional alliance politics. States previously neutral may feel compelled to form defensive coalitions or strengthen existing partnerships with global powers such as the United States to counterbalance Iranian power. This dynamic creates a potentially dangerous cycle of escalation. The more Iran strengthens its arsenal, the more neighbors seek strategic alternatives, prompting new defense measures and military developments by Tehran. The result is a feedback loop of growing regional tension. The economic impact is also significant. Perceived military threats can destabilize regional and global markets, particularly the energy sector, which relies on the Middle East. Countries exporting oil and gas may face price fluctuations due to perceived instability, while international investors may postpone projects or move capital to safer regions. Thus, Iran's military development alters not only strategic balance, but also indirectly affects the global economy, demonstrating the domino effect of military actions. Another important effect concerns international diplomacy. By advancing in cutting-edge military technologies, Iran gains more leverage in diplomatic negotiations. Even without publicly admitting to developing weapons of mass destruction, mere suspicion of advanced capability places the country in a position of strength. Western states, aware of Iran's potential, may reconsider sanctions, review non-proliferation agreements, or adapt foreign policies while trying to avoid direct confrontation. In this way, military development becomes a tool of political influence, allowing Iran to negotiate on equal footing with countries that previously held strategic advantage. The psychological factor is also notable. Uncertainty regarding the range and potency of Iranian weapons generates fear and caution throughout the region. Neighboring countries must plan contingency strategies, strengthen missile defense systems, and prepare diplomatic responses, often based on incomplete or speculative information. information. This atmosphere of constant tension can impact civil society, influence domestic policies, and even alter the military posture of previously moderate countries. The presence of external allies, such as China, in Iran's military development further intensifies the regional impact. Technological and strategic support from a global power accelerates Iran's progress, while sending a message of solidarity and deterrence to neighboring countries. Practically, this means that any direct intervention against Iran's military program becomes more complex, given the potential for indirect retaliation or escalation involving international actors. Theme 6. China's influence on Iran's military development. The collaboration between Iran and China in developing ultra-powerful weapons represents a complex geopolitical phenomenon that goes far beyond the mere provision of technology. This relationship is a clear example of how strategic alliances between countries can shape the global balance of power and create new blocks of influence. China's involvement in Iran's military project not only accelerates the development of advanced weapons, but also sends significant political messages to the United States, Europe, and Middle Eastern countries. First, it is important to understand the technical dimension of Chinese support. Intelligence reports indicate that China has provided Iran with high-tech equipment, electronic control systems, and specialized fuel for long-range missiles. These resources are not commonly produced and require advanced knowledge of military engineering, propulsion physics, and trajectory control. The transfer of this technology allows Iran to reach levels of sophistication that would be extremely difficult to achieve independently, reducing the time required to turn theoretical projects into functional weapons. Beyond the technical aspect, Chinese collaboration has a strategic and political dimension. By discreetly supporting Iran, China demonstrates its willingness to create alternatives to Western dominance in global security issues. Historically, the United States and its Western allies have exerted strong influence over the Middle East, imposing economic sanctions and regulating non-proliferation agreements. By providing technological support to Iran, China signals that there is an alternative bloc capable of challenging the status quo, strengthening countries that seek autonomy in the face of Western pressure. China's military support also strengthens Iran's deterrence capability. A country receiving cutting-edge technology from a global power significantly increases the risk of retaliation from adversaries. This does not mean only physical protection, but also a psychological effect. Rivals considering actions against Iran must take into account not only Iran's strength, but also the possibility of indirect involvement from a powerful country like China. This complex calculation alters political and military decisions across the region. The China-Iran cooperation also reflects a broader phenomenon, the creation of strategic alliances based on common interests rather than historical or cultural ties. Both countries share the goal of reducing Western influence over their internal and regional affairs. For Iran, China offers technology and political support. For China, Iran represents a strategic gateway to the Middle East, providing access to energy resources, trade routes, and geopolitical influence. This symbiosis transforms the relationship into a long-term strategic partnership. Another relevant aspect is the discrete nature of this collaboration. Unlike open and publicly recognized alliances, China-Iran cooperation is kept secret, making it difficult for other countries to react. Technology transfer is carefully controlled to avoid international exposure, while information about Iran's military progress remains hidden. This secrecy allows both countries to operate with strategic flexibility without facing immediate sanctions or direct pressure. China's presence also affects the military balance in the Middle East. With advanced technology, Iran can develop missiles with intercontinental range and destructive capability far exceeding conventional weapons in the region. This not only strengthens Iran's position, but also shifts the power dynamics among neighboring countries such as Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, forcing them to reconsider defense strategies and political alliances. China's involvement therefore creates a multiplier effect. Iran's power grows proportionally to the sophistication of the technology it receives. In the diplomatic field, Chinese influence serves as an indirect negotiation tool. Theme 7. The role of disinformation and secrecy in Iran's military program. Iran's military program is surrounded by an aura of mystery and absolute secrecy, which serves not only to protect strategic information, but also as a tool of political and psychological influence. The dissemination of disinformation and the maintenance of secret operations play a crucial role in how Iran projects power, creating uncertainty among rivals and enhancing its deterrence capacity without necessarily engaging in direct confrontations. Secrecy, combined with selective communication tactics, transforms the military military program into a strategic weapon in its own right. The first point to analyze is operational secrecy. According to intelligence reports, much of the development of ultra-powerful weapons, including long-range missiles and weapons of mass destruction, takes place in underground or isolated locations, such as military valleys and secret factories. These spaces not only protect the technology and scientists involved, but also prevent critical information from falling into the hands of adversaries. The construction of underground facilities makes satellite and drone monitoring difficult, ensuring that Iran maintains control over every stage of development. Secrecy, however, is not limited to physical facilities. Information about the size, range, and power of weapons is carefully filtered before any disclosure. This lack of transparency creates a psychological effect. International rivals do not know exactly what they need to defend against, increasing the deterrent value of the program. The mere possibility that Iran possesses intercontinental missiles or weapons of mass destruction forces other countries to consider extreme scenarios in their defense strategies, even in the absence of concrete data. Disinformation functions as a powerful complement to secrecy. Rumors about the power and range of weapons are deliberately allowed to leak without official confirmation. These selective leaks generate international speculation and keep global attention focused on Iran, while the actual details remain hidden. By creating an environment of uncertainty, Iran multiplies the psychological impact of its military program, expanding its influence without the need for attacks or explicit displays of force. Moreover, secrecy and disinformation strengthen Iran's diplomatic position. In international negotiations, the mere suspicion of advanced capabilities allows the country to negotiate more favorably, whether to ease sanctions, attract strategic allies, or reinforce its sovereignty in multilateral treaties. This strategic approach transforms the military program into a foreign policy instrument, where mystery and perceived power are as important as actual strength. Another relevant effect is the creation of a cycle of vigilance and tension. Neighboring countries and global powers, lacking access to reliable information, must maintain a high level of alert, constantly monitor movements, and invest in intelligence to try to decipher Iran's plans. This need for constant observation and anticipation consumes resources, time, and energy, benefiting Iran indirectly. Even without taking action, the country generates significant strategic impact simply through the secrecy of its operations. Disinformation can also act as a tool for military and economic negotiation. By inducing uncertainty about the range and power of its weapons, Iran pressures adversaries to adopt more cautious stances, avoiding direct confrontations or unilateral actions. Countries believing they might face ultra-powerful weapons tend to seek agreements, reduce economic pressure, or keep diplomatic channels open, even if much of the information about Iran's program is inaccurate or exaggerated. The role of technology in maintaining secrecy is equally important. Advanced encryption systems, access control, and electronic monitoring ensure that sensitive data remains restricted to selected teams. Additionally, technology transfer, often with the discreet support of allies like China, allows Iran to develop complex solutions without relying on external sources vulnerable to espionage. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed our content, subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Also, check out other interesting content appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.